a true record of our September meeting. Can you signify, please? Thank you. Okay. Okay. Do you want to? We're now going to move to the co-option process or election of our new councillor. It's very important that you make a clear indication of a show of hands here. Please don't feel under any pressure at all. You have to vote with what you think is best, having read the applications and having met our fellow applicants this evening. I think we move to a vote. Do you want to explain?
I just want to just to make sure we comply with the policy of the council, but also the legal requirements on co-option. First of all, we had a 14-day notice to Sedgemoor posted for us, and we put it on our website and on our notice boards, which effectively allowed somebody to seek 10 electors and force an election for this vacancy. That expired in the middle of August, and nobody came forward and nobody forced an election. So Sedgemoor effectively gave us the green light to go ahead and advertise the vacancy, which we did during the month of September. And in fact the notice period, 28-day notice, only expired yesterday. So it's very fresh off the blocks. And from that 28-day notice, we received 3 applicants to become a member of the council, and that is what we're going to deal with, as it were, now. One thing I would say to you is that in order for a parish council to be, or a person to be elected or co-opted, if you like, they need to get an absolute majority on the council. So, for example, we've got 9. So, in fact, any member who's out making an application will need to get 5 votes as a minimum in order to be elected, because we've got one missing, so it's slightly different numbers. So we'll have one round, and if that person gets any one of the 3 of you gets 5 votes on the first round, then you are elected. If that is not the case, then we go to round 2, and if there is a tie between 2 candidates, the chairman will have the casting vote as part of our standing order requirement. Okay? So, having sort of dealt with all that housework stuff, we can go ahead and seek to co-opt a member of the parish council.
Shall we do them in alphabetical order?
We can do, yes, we can do anything. When you elect, clear, you must have it clear.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I didn't make that clear. On the second round, there will only be two people, because the lowest value will drop off the end, so to speak. I don't mean literally.
Okay.
So yes,
Alison. So you've heard from Alison this evening. Can I have a show of hands whether you wish to elect Alison as your co-opted council? Can you show your hands, please? Make a note of that. Yeah. Okay. The next one would be Steve Wilcox. Can I have your show of hands? 3. 4.
Hold on, what have we got? Tracy. Bob.
Okay. And can I have your show of hands for Adrian?
Marina. Colin. And Jane. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. that's fairly, well, not overly decisive, but it is decisive. And that is that the two to go to the next round, Steve and Adrian.
Okay. Right, this is nail-biting stuff. Okay, we'll take it in this time we'll take it in alphabetical order, so it's Adrian first then. So all those in favour of Adrian?
So that's, well, let's put it the other way. So everybody by Tracy, Malcolm and Sarah. So that's
And all those in favour of Steve? Four.
so that's Adrian.
Adrian. Duly elected. Come and take your place. So,
Yeah. Oh, we were going to say thank you to the other candidates.
I think they've gone.
well done,
Thank you.
Adrian. Is it Adrian or Adrian?
Adrian.
Adrian. Right.
And you will need to sign a declaration and register interests. So I'll catch up with you after the meeting. The register of interest is an important one, because that goes on the website.
Thank you. I realise it's very difficult for councillors, but thank you for your openness and your willingness in the process. Thank you. Okay, planning. So, you doing planning?
We are.
Yeah, we are. That sounds.
We are.
Yeah.
Do you require anything up there?
Yes, please.
Right. I mean, I don't mean up there, I mean
Do you want to do 07 22 00009, the infamous 140 Round Street?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen
Yes.
the news? Okay.
There was a couple, wasn't there, that came in.
There are two additional, as far as I know, do you agree that there are two additional items over and above what we had previously? Would you say that? I think there's more than that, do you?
There's two additional plans, and then there were two letters of objection.
That should be a new one.
Yes.
My calculations are correct.
Yeah. Actually, I might change. Have you got the plans listed? Because I might just sort of go back slightly so we can just be clear what it looked like originally. It's like,
You want the original one, do you?
Have you got a list of the plans?
Yeah, you can challenge me now, haven't you?
It's just the way I've been thinking through it, just to sort of work
Hold on. We'll get there in the end. Don't worry, just keep talking much as though. Now you want the whole, what do you require from that one?
So there's, I would like to look at, there's 12 plans to the application. Yeah, I want to look at the location plan, which is, oh gosh.
Proposed elevation.
Locations at the top.
Yeah,
So just
that
that's a
one.
useful
That
one.
one.
Yeah, and then also just to look at the elevation plans at the outset, so we can
That's
see
the
what this
third
is doing. And then the ones sort of around September time when we made our last decision, and then obviously.
This elevation plan here.
Yeah.
That's the original. So that's what it is.
That's what it
Yeah,
is now.
that's what it is at the moment.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that's the
Okay.
original, is it? Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah. So also the elevation, the latest one,
The latest elevation,
Yeah.
which is that one.
which is. Yep.
Yeah.
And then also the one that was preceded that one in terms of elevation plan again. If we can get it right. So it basically sets what it looks like currently, what they have proposed, and now what they're proposing is a sort of counter proposal to the objections that have been issued. could be that one.
That one.
Yeah.
It's that one there, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, that's
No,
the
that's
No, it's the original
It's
one.
down a bit.
The original one's down a bit, is it? Yes.
No,
Is that-
you
Okay,
were just
so
on the
you're right.
original.
Is it right down the bottom?
This
Right
one's
down
Yeah.
the
No,
bottom.
no, I think it's up,
Yeah, up.
up,
You think it's up?
up,
Up.
up, there.
That one?
That's the old proposed elevation. Yeah.
God, this is good fun.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Okay.
Okay.
So that's what was in September.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, so this is Tyler's Cottage. It's 140 Brent Street. This is the third time that it's been presented to us for full time. Okay.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Sorry.
The gift that keeps on
Yeah,
giving.
indeed. Okay, so there have obviously been two amended plans that have been presented since September for consideration. There have also been two letters of objection from Underknoll, which is the neighbouring premises, and also the property 165 Brent Street, which is opposite this particular property. So if we just look at the location plan, so we can just have a quick look at that. And just go through what the original concerns were.
Location plan there.
Yeah. So you can see on the you can see where 140 is shown, and it's the extension to the right-hand side of that is proposed. So they're going to demolish the single extension and then build that to 2 stories. Now, the actual boundary to 140 actually sits on the boundary to Underknoll as well. So it's the wall, the actual wall to the property is actually the boundary between the 2 properties. So it already sits right on the boundary and has windows that look over the garden to Underknoll. So there are concerns that what is being proposed is just extending that line and effectively the dominance of the property over Underknoll. And the original concerns were that the extension would be dominant. It was out of keeping given the proposed materials that were going to be utilised, but also the style of the roof and the sloping of the roof. That it was the proximity to the boundary. Now, the proximity to the boundary is on the boundary already, but I think it's the dominance, the fact that it would be a 2-storey extension that then sits on the boundary overlooking Underknoll. And that it would seem a significant restyling of the character and the style and size of what was already there, which is a fairly small cottage in size, to become something significantly larger. So they were the concerns. The decisions that we have, I've got 2 decisions actually, in July and August. We objected to the application on the basis of poor design, out of character of existing properties, inappropriate roofing materials, overshadowing of the neighbouring properties, and a discrepancy with the substituted plans and elevations. That was in July, and then in August that was limited to 3 grounds of objection. The design was not in keeping with the surroundings, the materials used were inconsistent with the existing materials, and it overshadowed the neighbouring properties. So that was where we were August 3rd, and then subsequently further plans were put in, and it was agreed that there was a significant number of changes made that it warranted a further consideration of the plans to see whether or not those decisions would actually be changed. So that's the position that we've got to. If we look at the new plan, so the elevation plan that's...
September version.
we can go to the September version.
Yeah, so we're looking at the...
Actually, should we, if we go to the original existing elevation, so we can see actually what the property looks like. So the existing elevation.
So existing elevation,
So what it is currently.
what it is currently.
Stop.
That one there.
Yeah.
So there you can see the south elevation. It's at the right-hand side. You can see obviously you've got the single story. That was to be demolished, and that was then to be a two-storey extension would be erected at that, in that position. Just look at that. Just want to see where, so under Knoll is actually on the north elevation. So is that plan, can you go up on that plan?
Sure we can. There we go. Where you want me to
So
go?
on the north elevation, if you imagine under Knoll is that, this side of that elevation. So that's what it looks like currently. So I think we just need to see what it looks like. And you can see the slope of the roof on that, on the west, the front elevation on the west and on the east. So that's what it currently looks like. So if you want to now go to the September,
Right. Lovely. September. Yeah, you want the proposed elevation, yeah?
yeah. That's the new, that's the newest version. Because that's what
Doesn't
the,
that squeeze in?
it's
Yeah.
got the ridge, they put in the double ridge, the double pitch roof. So that's the latest one. So if you've got one just before that, so we can just see the stages that have been taken.
You mean one between the one we just showed and another?
Yeah, the September one, that's the latest one. So the one that we considered in September.
Elevation, might be that one.
Yes,
Have you got that?
This one.
that one, yeah.
23, yeah. So that was what they proposed, and that's what we considered. That was in August, actually, apologies. That was the August decision that we made. The concerns with that were the slope of the roof and the side elevation, and the dominance of that building. So you can now see the front elevation in the south, where you had a single story that's now double story. And then if you go down, or go up, so you've got the rear elevation. This is the bit that now overlooks under Knoll, and you can see that you've now got the extension to the left. So if we can now go to the proposed drawings that have just been submitted last
Hopefully.
week.
That's this one here. That's proposed elevation.
Okay. So the concerns were about the pitch of the roof. They didn't think it was in keeping, and the tiles used, the materials used were not in keeping with the street scene, and with the style of the property, etc. And that it was over-dominant in its proximity again to the under Knoll property, neighbouring property. So what was being proposed is this is the plan that's been put in, and I think there were a significant number of amendments that they have produced here. You've got the double pitched roof now, so that it's more in keeping with what was there originally. You've got the eaves now are halfway between what was proposed and what is existing, but where the extension, the double story extension is, that's still 3 feet higher than what it was. They changed windows in line with the planning officer's suggestions to keep the fascia consistent, I think, to sort of marry up where the windows are. They've also removed the roof lights, and they've also pushed back the dormer windows in that north elevation, which overlooks under Knoll. So they have actually done a significant, or proposed a significant number of amendments. Having said that, at the same time as putting these plans in, there were 2 further letters of objection, both from under Knoll and also the property at 165, which sits opposite this property. And their concerns, I think, remain consistent with what they've said previously. They think the double pitch roof is now an awkward design, and they don't think it's in keeping. Now, interestingly, they talked about it being not in keeping with the street scene, and actually, if you go along opposite the property, 160 I think it is, there is a double pitch roof. So there is precedence in the local area. So there is some sympathy for what they've said, but there is some precedence. And actually, whilst if the materials are consistent, there are a number of roofs that actually do have slightly different gradients in that area. Next door to this property is an extension into the attic that has a sort of box shape that's completely different. So there is some sympathy with the street scene, but I think the greatest sympathy and observations that I have is really with Knoll and the dominance of the property being on that boundary line. They have removed the roof lights and they have pushed back the dormer windows, but it is very dominant in size. And I think the observations that have been made of the rest of the objection certainly is something that I have some sympathy for. But that's a change. So the question I think to the councillors now is, have the changes that have been made, are they enough to satisfy us that our objections no longer exist? They haven't referred to the materials in the plans, which is unfortunate, and that got picked up by one of the neighbours, so it's not clear what materials they're using for the roof. They have corrected the extension. There was some inconsistencies with the measurements in the plans. They have corrected that now, so it's consistent. They have moved the roof lights, so they have taken certain steps, but I think looking at what we've got, we have design not in keeping with surroundings, materials used are not consistent, and the overshadowing of neighbouring properties. So my observations are that there is some element, in my view, that it's not in keeping with surroundings, but I think if you do look around, there is some precedent that there are different roof lines and gradients and etc. that have been accepted or exist. I certainly think materials used, they could have taken the opportunity to make clear what materials are being used and they haven't, and that I do believe that there remains an overshadowing of the neighbouring properties. But I invite the councillors to suggest what their observations are on the plans and the application.
Just one little piece of information. I spoke to Chris Mitchell, the planning officer on this one,
Yeah,
and apparently it does require a BAT survey,
it does.
but because the BAT survey, the allowable time is the end of September, it means that if a BAT survey is done between now and March that finds there is BATs, that will hold the development up until after March. So the BAT survey can be enacted upon if there was an issue there. Just a bit of side information.
They have just done a BAT survey.
They have done one, haven't they?
They've done one, but the neighbour was concerned that they'd just been asked for access to their garden to do the BAT survey, and they were concerned that this has gone on for some time and to have just been asked at this stage. But there is obviously that period between March and September where you have to do it, and if you don't, you have to wait for the following year. So I don't know what everyone else's consideration is.
Well, thanks, Sarah. That's a fantastic appraisal of what is happening. Very good, thank you. I think just to reiterate what Sarah said, we complained about the design last time, we complained about the use of inappropriate roof materials, and we complained about the overshadowing and loss of light for the property that whose garden that rear north elevation drops directly onto their garden. I must admit I'm not very impressed with the design, to be honest with you, but as you've indicated, there are some precedents and you've highlighted those, but they still haven't addressed materials, and they still haven't addressed the question of loss of light and overshadowing of the adjoining property. I'll leave it with you, but we need to come to some form of resolution whether we are now happy with this and we can let it go forward, or whether we still object to it and allow the planning officer and the appeals process at Sedgemoor to look at all the items that have been brought to our attention. Is there any
My
comment?
proposal will be that we remain consistent with our decision on the August the 3rd. Would that be my proposal?
I must admit I would support that.
I mean, I think they've come some way, but and they may well continue to do so. I'm sure it will come back again.
Yes.
But I feel that the observations that have been made by the neighbours and opposite and under Knoll
Yes.
are quite clear.
Yeah. I want to be careful that I'm just worried about the predetermination that Sarah. I will propose it because I don't think it's appropriate that you do, because of your own position in this. But I would propose that we refuse this application on the basis that the design is still not satisfactory, the use of inappropriate roof materials, and loss of privacy and overshadowing to the adjoining property. That's my resolution. If I could have a seconder for that one.
Just,
Yes, sorry, go on.
can you object to the roof materials if they haven't specified what they're going to be?
Well, we're not told, but we assume they're still the same.
Okay.
If we complain about something and they ignore our complaints, we assume it's still the same.
No.
You can't second guess it, can you?
No, I would have just left that bit out because of
Well,
objecting to something that you
they haven't
haven't
been
been
addressed.
told.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there is an alternative proposal. Is there an alternative proposal?
I would have objected on the other two parts.
You can object, you can refuse to vote.
No. Do you understand what I mean, Sarah?
Yeah, and I understand that. I think they have the opportunity
To say what they're going to
say what
use.
they
Yeah,
should have
yeah.
done, both from the letter of objection from the neighbours and also from the decision of the parish council. That's why it's disappointing that they didn't take the opportunity
To say what they're going to use.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the resolution. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Well, this one is just into committee anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Treble 020, Drewdale House, Burton Row. You got that one on your list? Who's doing this one? Sarah?
I am.
Okay. There are some, if you want to pass these around.
What, some
Those
paper?
Those are current, that's existing,
Oh,
and these are proposed.
It goes right at
could I not have had these at 7:15?
They're on the website.
Oh, I know, I spent 2 hours yesterday
yeah,
trying to print them off.
You're trying to get them off. Anyway, they're up, it's up there. And that's the...
Well, this is an application to demolish the existing conservatory, which is the rounded part that Owen kindly just pointed to with his little mouse, and built an extension, which, from what I could see, is basically the floor print of the conservatory, but with squared front rather than rounded, and to add a balcony to the first floor, on the other side of the roof.
They've got enough land, haven't they? It's not affecting anyone.
Yeah, it's not going to come close to a boundary or overshadow any neighbours.
No.
Having looked at this, presumably you've all looked at it online, but is there a proposal? David?
I'll propose no observation.
Propose that we pass this through with no observations. A seconder for that? Jane, all those in favour? Okay. That saved you a bit of time. Are you doing, who's doing the Rise Cottage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, have you seen the actual property, and have you seen the drawings?
I've got the drawings, but I've seen the property.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the drawings are incredibly complex
Yeah.
and very small
Yeah.
in terms of print. So,
Very user friendly, that isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So really, I'm just going to look at the location plan again and the top elevations, which I think just highlight the difference between what is currently existing and also what is proposed under the application. The application seems to be retrospective in parts. There is work ongoing, as I'm sure we're all aware as we go up and down the village. I'm confused as to what's been demolished and what's been built up because it seems to alternate each time. But it is retrospective in part, if not entirely, because the works are continuing. But we don't give weight to that, so we just have to ignore that and treat this as if it's an application for works to be carried out. The application itself, it doesn't affect the access, it doesn't affect any trees, hedges, etc. There's no altered vehicular or pedestrian rights of way, etc. So it's a fairly straightforward proposal in terms of just impacting the land itself. You've got the location plan at the bottom. Actually, that doesn't really highlight particularly. What I personally couldn't appreciate is whether or not the footprint of the building has actually increased in size. I don't think it has, from looking at the plans, but when I actually drive past, it looks like it has. So I'm not sure. But it is a very small parcel of land, and it does look like a very large building that's been erected on it as it's gone up. So that would certainly be my observation, having gone past the property. They're looking to demolish part of the building
No.
and then to...
No.
In the application it says...
No, it's already been built.
It's
Yeah, it's built.
It's actually completed now.
Yes, if you look at the
Okay.
coloured, the purple colouring
Yeah,
on the diagram, it's actually been built.
okay.
So
But the application relates to it being demolished and then being...
yeah,
partly
it does, but it's
what I'm
actually
trying to
been
say,
done.
But I appreciate it's now been done, sorry.
Yeah,
The application is to demolish part of the building and then to rebuild.
yeah,
And then there's part of it that's just been built. It just seems to have gone upwards. So I don't
Yeah.
think the footprint has changed, but it is quite a tall building. So if you look at the plans, if you go to the elevations, if you can somehow flip between the existing and the new elevation, so we can get a sort of idea.
That's what
that's
That's
what it was.
Yeah, that's what it
the
was.
next one down, which is proposed existing location, building regular. That's all I've got on there.
Yeah.
So it's
Proposed floor elevation.
Yeah.
Yes. It's at the top.
It's
so you can
terrible.
see.
Yeah, all-
That's what. So that's nice. That's intuitive.
All that's actually, yeah, it's actually
It's
been
actually
done. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually done. I kind of
Previously,
say that-
drawings updated from previously approved as annotated in magenta. So, what can I say? He's worked incredibly hard on this building, incredibly hard. I have nothing but admiration for him, to be honest with you.
The
But
application says that the works are not yet will not be completed, but they obviously have. So it is all retrospective in nature.
I don't see
personally.
anything that he's going to demolish. It says demolish, but I don't see it.
I think that I think he demolished something right at the outset, and that's happened.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
built
Yes.
subsequently. So sorry, that was just the application in its nature. Not
Yes.
thinking about it being retrospective, but it's all been completed now.
Yes.
Mostly completed.
Yeah.
So the only observations I have is that it is a very large, dominant building on what appears to be quite a small plot of land, with premises that are fairly close in proximity to the boundaries. That said, I don't know whether it's our place to make assumptions. There are no letters of support or objection that have been put in The application is still fairly new, but there is no letters either way. Have they not built what they had planning for?
Yes.
They've just missed
Pretty
windows,
much,
made
yeah.
bigger windows,
Yes.
smaller windows.
Yes, he has.
Is that just lots of
He has
tweaking?
built
Yeah,
what he
that's
had permission
Yeah.
for.
Yeah,
He's
that's
just
all.
It's just a-
Floor plan size is
It's
exactly
what we
permission for.
originally allowed.
It's just
yeah.
what's highlighted, well, is in magenta then,
tweaking
where
around.
he's one,
Yeah,
put it
okay,
to, so
okay.
he's in that permission.
Yeah.
I would propose that we accept these revisions on the basis that it's property improvements and completes the project.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's satisfactory.
I'm sure that it will be.
Okay. Seconder? Amanda? All those in favour? Well done, thank you. Can you get Bob in? Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Sorry? Because he goes out because he is chair of the SDC committee and he cannot take part. Yeah. He has to go out because he will be, anything that goes to appeal, he chairs that meeting. So he will be prejudiced. Right.
Can I just ask a question? Apologies.
Of course, Sarah.
I didn't know that had already been approved previously. So,
Yes.
so where can I, when I did the application on the portal, I couldn't see a previous application that has been
Yeah,
approved.
there was about probably, well, it must be at least 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's quite a long
Yeah,
time back.
quite a long
Wasn't
time
And
ago.
it remains, it's expensive, it's not, it is, okay.
So,
So
yes.
just a bit of guidance, I should look back and just make sure that the history is clear, or
Um,
we're going to
for-
go in and make sure that I'm
For
clear on
a, sorry Bob, you should, for a reassessment or whatever, yeah,
that. Okay,
yeah.
let's go back to the.
yeah, you'd have to go back to the archive section,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, and call it up that way.
Okay.
There is actually a piece of software available specifically for parish council planning discussions.
Yeah,
And what the software does, it highlights all the previous applications immediately. So you put in the address, and all the previous applications come up immediately. So you can just click back on them and see that. It's something worth thinking about in the future to make planning easier.
Yes,
I
Bob?
was only going to say what David just said, which is if you've got an application, if you go through the search rather than searching for the number and search for the address, it should
Yeah,
bring
which
up
it
the
brings you up the
you
whole
do
way.
that, that's fine, I'll do
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, yes, he did have full,
Okay, thank
the
you.
guy came to see us, I remember,
Okay, thank you.
at the time and addressed us with it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Footpaths. Anything on footpaths?
That report I gave last time, I went up there this morning and it's worse. Just,
Is this around the back of the Thames?
yeah.
Did you happen to speak to Heather also
I haven't
at
seen
all?
it yet, I will chase. I'll
Would
follow
you,
that.
please?
In fact,
there's-
there are some branches that are,
Yeah,
it's like a
yeah,
tunnel.
I sent an email, complete disregard,
Right.
yeah,
Okay, no,
okay.
I'll go that word.
Please. On footpaths, Steve Pym is going to do the Knoll post and rails on Friday. So, and the farm have refused his quote to repair the fencing. So they say it's too expensive. So I would have thought it may never get done the way things are. So yeah, he's going to do that. On footpaths also, Kenny Gordon, and it will cover the car park. They've started the car park. You're all welcome to go up and have a look and see what they've done. They've worked quite hard and moved a lot of stuff. He's then going to drop down to do the horse field and the other areas that he's planning to do. One thing has cropped up tonight by chance, because I said to Karen, who has the horse field, have you got the materials for your fence? Because I said, if you think you're going to use the stuff that you've left on the ground, at the moment you hit the posts in, they'll just fracture. And so she said, well, I've got some, but I thought you were going to do it because we only took it down because you want to do the path. So we had this problem last time, didn't we? So it looks as if we might have to buy some posts and rails to make that project work. I don't know any other way, but they took the fence down, but they're expecting us to put it back up. I'll have a word with her and
I'll go 50-50. That'll work at the worst.
yeah. Yes, Paul.
It sounds like the worst. I mean, our responsibility is the surface. So if we get the stoning done, if they choose not to put a fence back up, that's their choice.
Well, yeah, yeah.
I was just going to say, where do we stand with, because there never used to be a fence there, and they took it upon themselves to put the fence up, so isn't it their lookout, like you said?
Well, the interesting thing is as well, they've taken it down because they want the path widened. So, but if we'd have done the path anyway, we would have had to take the fence down. So you've got this
Stay on
But we've only got a path because they chose to put the fence up.
Yeah.
So,
I'll speak to her and see what materials she's got and report back where we are.
But we won't delay the path being done.
No,
No.
no. And David, they've got to get into the first gate, which I understand is owned by Tibbs.
I
Kenny
told
knows the
you.
code of that.
Yeah, I asked him this morning and he said, oh, I think my son might have it, or
Oh, I'll get it if not.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
All right.
I'll get it and I'll ring it.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much. That's the only combination they
Yeah,
need, isn't it?
the other gates are all open.
They all
Well,
open.
locked. They're not locked.
All right. So yeah, it's moving forward at last. Both Kenny and Steve Pinn, which is good. Sorry, anything else on footpaths?
Not strictly footpaths, but at the end of Blunt Street, on the, I guess it's around the end of the green, you've got those plastic barriers, which just seem to be there for ever. And just
Is that opposite?
so cider farm,
Yeah.
cider farm, and it's just looks dreadful.
One street going on the station.
It's on the floor as you go to station road, turn left.
What
Whose responsibility that is?
barrier are they stopping, making a barrier against falling in the rain, or?
Yes, I guess so. I
Okay.
don't know what was that.
Someone's hit it and they
What's
put a car in.
happened or-
Collapsed.
Okay.
There was a bit of warming.
Whose responsibility is that?
Probably Sunday, but if you're happy, I'll have a look and report it.
Okay.
It's one thing that you can look, when as soon as you come into Brent Knoll, it's,
Yes,
you
I
see
have
it
noticed
there.
it, but I thought it
Get
was...
so used to seeing
Yeah.
it.
Yes, just live with it. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks Tracy, thanks Amanda. Bob, you'll do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could I just ask on the footpaths one, are we taking a bit about the jungle under this, or?
Can do, yeah.
Okay.
There isn't
What's that, the request from yeah, do you want to do that,
Right.
Bob?
Yeah, I mean, basically I think members have sent around to them the request we've had from, I think it's Lyncham Parish Council to look at clearing the bridle way. It's generally been called the jungle over the years. I mean, my own view is if we're looking at contributing £100 to getting it done, that's actually not that bad, bearing in mind well, we've done it ourselves in the past and paid more than that, so if we can get the other two to chip in and get it done on a more regular basis, I would thought it's in everyone's interest, but I mean, back in the day when Sybil Rich was on the council, she used to regularly get us to get it sorted because she was up and down on the horses and all those were. So, yeah, happy to propose that we go along and do that. We just need to persuade East Brent, but even to be honest, if we ended up sharing it with Lyncham, it's cheaper than we would have paid if we did it ourselves, and it's something that a lot of our residents use, particularly the horse riders.
Okay.
So the request appears to be making a contribution. I mean, presumably Lyncham are going to mastermind it, are they? And we'll pay them. I don't know. I'll find that out.
Okay.
That's
So Bob's proposal then is that we pay £100 towards this project to keep it clear, which will be assumed dealt with by Lyncham Parish Council.
Yeah.
Do I have a seconder for that? David, all those in favour? Thank you, lovely. Well done. That's good.
I'm glad we finished the planning when you did.
Exactly. You could have done it
Yeah. Malcolm, anything on highways?
No, I've not anything to report on highways. I
Okay.
don't know if anybody else has had anything.
David?
I'd like to say about the back of South Brent Close, where once upon a time we cut the hedge. The hedge is coming out in the road, which has now narrowed the verge down, which Jason maintains anyway, but when you get lorries, tractors, whatever along there, they end up having to go on the other side of the road because of the wind mirrors, so they're not smashing them off. So I wonder about seeing if Jason had cut it back.
So this is over and above what he normally does,
Yeah.
part of his contract?
Yeah, he normally does the verge, but the actual hedge, which he has done before.
Where's that, David?
If you went to South Brent Close
Yes.
and went come out of South Brent Close, go towards the railway bridge on
Yeah.
your left-hand side,
Okay.
and we've historically maintained that.
Okay. Yeah.
But I just wondered if we could do it as a one-off
Yeah.
or
Okay. Cut it
whatever.
back.
Jason, want to contact Jason? Yeah. If you have to do that, I'm sure.
Okay. Thank you. Bob?
I was only going to say, I wonder whether we look at maybe tying that up with, because we still do crooked
Yeah,
lanes,
yeah,
At
yeah.
the same time?
and it would make sense
Yeah,
to
because that's got to be done.
do the two together
Yes.
when they're
Who
due.
does that?
He has a contractor to do that.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Not always the same one.
No, the same one. No, absolutely.
Well, it's the same tractor.
Depends if you can get hold of them or not.
Yeah, that's right.
And I also report one other thing on highways, which I was talking to Malcolm about before the meeting started. For those of you who've been more observant, you might have noticed that some new 30-mile-an-hour signs have popped up there down Ham Road.
Yeah.
You remember we got county out and we asked them if they could extend the limit, and it took a while to get them to agree it. It then took a while for it to be advertised, and again, members may have seen over the summer there was an advert or a notice that came out talking about 30-mile-an-hour limits all over Brent Knoll, basically. That was in order to extend that. It has now been extended, so the order's in place, the signs are in place, so it is now legally enforceable. And hopefully it will slowly go
Just
down all
on
lanes.
that one. Since the signs have gone up, there's been more people speeding than there is. I just can't understand it, but it's mad. So yeah, but the signs they put up are little 20 things like that.
Okay. Like repeater signs. Yeah.
But they're bigger.
Yeah, big
When
ones.
the entry
speed
point
up
is,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, but it's brilliant now, look. It is. Thank you.
Okay. Nothing else on highways? I noticed Hill Lane is marked up with yellow and then being blacked out in places, but I assume something's going to happen in Hill Lane. Do we know when?
Not when, but it's, if you remember, it was raised a while ago and I was asked to take it up with county,
Yeah.
and they said they'd put it on their lists, and
Yeah.
they did the one-off outside Balcots, which
Yeah.
was particularly bad, but now, yes, they've done a whole series of planned works over the well, it should be heading into the winter.
Okay. Yeah, because somebody put yellow all over the road, and then somebody's gone and put black all over parts of it. Yeah, never mind. Ours is not to reason. Village Green Report, who did it this month?
Nigel Summers on the road, but he wasn't too keen, so Tracy did it.
I did it and found generally okay. It's a very odd hole. I don't know if somebody knows what it is. Unsafe ground at the front there.
Oh yeah, we put that. Yeah, we put that there yesterday.
We did that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's supposed to be artwork.
I wasn't sure what that was.
We haven't signed it yet.
So has somebody gone down the hole?
Not yet.
Someone.
We were trying to avoid that
We
happening.
have had a couple of weeks
Some
tripped
trips.
over it.
Slips and trips.
I just wanted to
I
put
see,
this
so it's just-
Yes. So the David's got some topsoil now to put across it throw some seed on it, and then hopefully it should be okay.
Right, that's
Yeah.
one. I thought grass generally okay. Some things a little bit scruffy around the toilet block. Bit of kind of weeding required. Obviously, yes, there are breaks in the play equipment that was noted on the report that we had anyway. Generally, the play equipment, I don't know how realistic that is. It is, but it could do with repainting. It's all just looking a little bit tired and tatty and just not hugely appealing to children. And I don't know if that's something we could do, but just by brightening it up, I think would make a big difference. Just could be more attractive than it is. We've got 2 very good non-wood benches out there, but a couple of the wood benches are in quite a lousy condition really. One of them is leaning quite a lot, one of them is a little bit unstable, so I'm not sure.
Where are those? Tracy?
They're 2
In the
together,
corner?
over
Where
the
the
sides.
picnic tables.
The 2 picnic tables together, and one of them just visually is quite off. And the surface is damaged, and I think somebody, if you were sitting there, you could catch yourself on the tabletop and things. Some of the benches could do with a bit of repainting and maintenance. I'm really fussy, I should have said before I started this. The basketball hoop is very,
I'll
very,
vouch for that.
very, very dirty. I think
What was dirty?
The basketball hoop, I think over time with tree
Oh yes,
coverage, and just
just
things like that.
bleach on it to
Do a
restore
bit
it.
of sprucing up and things. Car park was good. Toilets are not good at all. They were both really quite dirty. Evidence in the windows, cobwebs, that nothing has been cleaned for quite some time. I didn't realise we didn't have any kind of soap dispensers or anything in there. It wasn't dark, it was dusk when I was in there, but the lights didn't come on, and I would have thought they should have done, so I don't know if the lights are not working, and just really not pleasant at all. So I know we're paying a cleaning contract, but I don't know really what the cleaners are doing for us. So.
Okay.
Did you notice Jason's report there was weed killing in the village green? He did, and he signed off for the 30th of September. Weed killing? You said there was weeds around. Oh, around the patio here. Okay, so it's weed killing village green. Okay. So he does it when that makes sense green, but perhaps that should just be picked up.
Yeah, won't happen straight away. No. Yeah.
I think if the toilet block was remaining, I think it would be a contractor there. Said you're not doing a good job. There's lots of complaints, lots of emails.
Might it be worth getting a schedule together like we do with Jason and say, this is what we want you to do?
Can you tell us what you have done?
Yeah.
To be honest as well, there's a floor in there because it's like paint, there's floor paint on the floor in there, and it's all cracked and broken up. So even if you were Tracy's cleaner, you probably would struggle to get it. And I mean, the window's all murky and anyway, isn't it? It's just
whether they go in and they just focus on the toilets and basin, I guess, but actually the general building is.
No, I
Yeah.
think he just gives it a mop.
I don't know if
Just
it's
so
Chuck
and
that
say
back.
that's it.
2 minutes
Like,
later.
yeah, 2 minutes he's
yeah, no, the toilet's pretty
watched
Take
it.
it up with the cleaners.
Dan, I'll tell you that, Dan
Okay.
Hemmings, chap who masterminds the toilet.
Yeah.
Actually, Karen's a better person, I always think. She's red hot.
No, we take, we take it all on board, Tracy, exactly what you said, thank you. While we're on Village Green then, and benches, can we just do a sidetrack? We had, how much did we have from Nuttall Trust? Was it 500? We had £500 from Nuttall Trust, and I applied for a new bench for the Village Green. And it's a very simple bench, but it's made of composite stuff, which, like our picnic benches, which don't require any maintenance. So I would like your permission to purchase one of those, please, with our Nuttall Trust money. It's £531, excluding VAT, but we get the VAT back. Yes, lady?
I've bought one myself, which was £1,000 actually, for my late wife up in the cemetery.
All right.
So I was going to ask if I'm allowed to put one in the park as well. So there'd be two going in. If I was allowed to buy one myself and get that fitted as well at the same time.
Well, I think that what you should do,
Yeah.
the correct way of doing this
Putting it
is put it on our
Okay.
agenda next meeting with what you would like to propose,
Yeah.
and then we can go from there.
But they are good benches.
Yeah,
they are.
okay. However, the village hall also want to buy a bench. Where do you want to put yours?
So the plan at the moment is to put it outside, not on the village green, but on the patio, so just outside the window up here. What it was you'll remember the Jubilee that took place earlier in the year. There was some funding left over from that, there was a surplus at the end, which there was discussion about should it just be handed back to organisations, or do we do something with it as a more permanent reminder of the Jubilee. So what was suggested was that we'd have a bench sort of outside the Jubilee room. We're going to get a little plaque that they also do plaques, so we were going to get one marked up just saying it was for the Jubilee and get the Jubilee logo and stuff on it, which again the hall will pay for. But we thought it would make sense if the hall came in with the parish council, we bought them together, then there might be the ability to get a better deal. But it would be the same design as the one that Collins highlighted.
Normally they give us a bit of discount, so I think
It could be buy two, get one free.
one could help us. I can see you're very shop oriented.
Have you got a flagpole? If we do a new flagpole, you can
take it back.
Yeah. No, let's do one. Let's sidetrack. So, with your permission.
Colin, can we just ask what was the money from the National Trust for? They just gave £500.
Nuttall
Oh,
Trust.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
The Nuttall Trust
Yeah.
is, well, Bob, do you want to explain to Sarah
Yeah,
what the
there was
Nuttall
a
Trust
couple who used to live in the village in the bungalow at the bottom of Manor Ride, called Mr and Mrs Nuttall.
Okay.
When they passed away, they left their estate in effect to they formed a charitable trust,
Yeah.
which village organisations initially, I think it was from Brent Knoll, East Brent and Limpsham, could bid to. I think they extended it now to Mark as well. But basically the sale proceeds of the bungalow and everything else went into this trust, and there are trustees who allocate those funds for applications. You'll see there's a bit in the Brent Knoll News just before Christmas, because they ask people to put in their bids. If anyone from those parishes can put in for community organisations, and that's what Colin did for us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we generally don't ask for a lot of money on the basis that it's shared out amongst quite a lot of people. So I have just managed to replace the the picnic benches on the green over time, and this is just another piece of repair work really, or replacement. But we'll see if we can get a discount. Do you want the plaques? Do you want the plaques done as well by then?
Yeah.
You better tell us what you want.
I'll chase John to
I'll
get the
get one
wording
from-
to us.
I'll do a Nuttall Trust one as well. I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Right, that's the village green. Thanks, Tracy. Play
Can I just
area.
ask one other thing on the village green?
Yeah.
When we get the topsoil for the bit at the front, there's a couple of slightly dodgy holes on the village green as well, which I know people have had near misses when we do Jubilee, we can stick rubbish bins in various strategic places to stop people falling down the holes. So if we could have some topsoil for that, would be good too.
Can you mark them?
Okay, there's only a couple, but I will show you.
Yeah.
Can you could you do that fairly quickly, because it's a bit of an eyesore. Is that all right? Yeah, it's just
Do the whole.
best stuff that.
write that down if you do.
Yeah. Okay, play area report.
Which you had a few days ago, I think.
Yeah.
I don't